Stephen A. Smith, one of the longest tenured sports personalities at the now falling giant of the sports world, ESPN. He has given many great sports memes throughout the years. However, as of late, he's become a lot more infamous in some ways. But on today's video on the Alvini Linguine channel, I'll be speaking about an opinion that I've had for many years. That Stephen A. Smith is one of the most overrated sports personalities in the modern age. Want to know why? Well, I suggest you watch the video thoroughly with your boy, Alvini Linguine. We'll be going over the rise of Stephen A. Smith, what seems to be the fall of him, and why I believe he's, again, one of the most overrated sports media people on TV. And yes, I know this video was supposed to be a good 4 months ago, but hey, at least you got it now. But anyways, you already know what I have to do. The like goal of this video is the usual 1,000 likes to help support the channel. Subscribe if you are new for more interesting sports content every week for your enjoyment. And finally, follow me on Twitter and Instagram for the Inside Life of Alvini, and follow me on Twitch for weekly streams. And with all that out of the way, you already know who it is, right?
He incurred an injury dealing with weights in the weight room, so he stitched up in the left hand doing all this.
Now let me, as a former college student, tell you why Stephen A. Smith made it to the point that he is now. Yes, he's one of the biggest sports personalities in the world, one of the biggest faces of ESPN, and when I mean biggest, I mean that he's making over $12 million per year as of July of this year, and you can already imagine he's making more with other incentives. But the reason he's making so much is because he's one of the more marketable people out there on ESPN. ESPN knows they can afford losing him like they did with a person as controversial as Skip Bayless, who is now with Fox. Stephen A. Smith's personality and eccentric attitude is what brings the people in to watch him and ESPN itself. There are many clips of Stephen A. Smith that became viral just because of how out of left field he can be sometimes, which, as you can imagine, isn't normal for your average sports analyst. Here's a short compilation to jog your memory, basically.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
Well, let's be nice. Yeah. Let's be nice. We don't have to go there. I mean, you're not wrong, but you didn't have to say it. I mean, good Lord. I am having a very bad day. I am in no mood. This, today, is one of the worst days that I've had in a long time. I'm not in the mood to play with anybody. His very first move as the executive was to sign Lamar Odom, who was on crack.
I can guarantee that y'all had some nostalgia from those clips or even laughed at them. That's the main hook to him. He's the most entertaining person out there in sports, I guess, for the most part. And when you sit down and watch whatever show he's on, whether it's his own show, his radio show, etc., you already know you're waiting for that meme-worthy moment that'll be trending on the internet that day. When there is a meme account on Stephen A. Smith that is 100% based on meme-worthy moments from his time on TV with almost 100,000 followers, you already know you made it on top in some regard. But after that, that's all of the positives that I have for Stephen A. Smith. But let me ask this question before I make my argument why I think that he is overrated. What does he do as a sports analyst that sets him above the rest that is not entertainment related? So to start this off, why do I believe that Stephen A. Smith is overrated? You may ask that as you're leaving your comment about how he isn't because he made you laugh. Well, let me give you a few lessons that I learned over the years during my time in college. In the world of TV, you want to set yourself apart one way or another. Otherwise, you'll just be considered as just some guy in a respective genre or sphere of television. So in sports TV terms, we can argue that there's a lot of people who do different things to make them beloved or hated in some way. Skip Bayless for his seemingly weird hatred of LeBron James or other top athletes at a certain time, Colin Cowherd for his yearly bad takes, Shannon Sharpe, who's basically a bigger Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, you heard me. And even someone like Marcellus Wiley, who talks about politics in his own sports shows. Yeah, you can also plug the same level of thought when it comes to certain communities on YouTube that you watch, but that was just a good example of how you can do it when it comes to watching sports shows. But one thing I also learned in my broadcast media class is that even though you can differentiate yourself, can you still do what your job description entails? For Stephen A. Smith, I believe that's a big no. When it comes to what he says on TV, I believe him to be a yes man when it comes to analyzing sports. Basically, I mean he only says the safest takes imaginable. See, in sports, you have to do research to make claims, at least you're expected to. Here's an example of a super safe take Stephen A. Smith has made that I can recently remember.
I'm of the mindset that LeBron James is the best player in the world.
Are we going here?
I'm of the mindset that a superstar will find a way to get it done. I'm of the mindset that no matter what he's going up against,
It's a big butt here.
that LeBron James will find a way to get it done. But I can't pick him.
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
I don't trust Dwayne Wade's health, and I don't trust Chris Bosh's game right now.
Now you see how he's calling LeBron all of these things, but then just discounts his teammates for many of other reasons? That's because he thinks 2 + 2 = Spurs win. No X and O's talks outside of the matchups, just Spurs win because LeBron's teammates, even though you still got Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and all the others. Well, obviously that didn't happen. But what's funnier is what happened next year.
And they all well-oiled machine. If I were anybody out there, you gotta bet your money on the Spurs. I don't blame you. I'd probably bet my money on the Spurs, but I use the word probably because, Skip, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. When you go up against a great team, it takes a superstar to close the deal, baby. And it is time. It is apropos. It is perfect timing for LeBron James.
I love how he discounted the Heat, and once the Heat won, it was LeBron can just do it again, easy. Well, again, that didn't happen. He has plenty of moments like this, and obviously for copyright reasons, I'm not going to show all those other examples, just look them up. But the formula for Stephen A. Smith's predictions is always the safest decision. There's usually no logic behind it. And he has a historically bad streak of picking the wrong team for the finals that spans from 2011 to 2019. Now, outside of that, have you ever wondered what happened when Stephen A. Smith ever really opened his mouth on something he actually thought about truthfully? Well, it usually comes from controversy. The earliest example I can think of is when he talked about how women shouldn't be provoking domestic violence incidents that got him suspended from ESPN. And even as of recently, he had a really dumb moment of saying something that shouldn't ever be said on national television. For example, when he discounted baseball player Shohei Ohtani because of the fact he couldn't really speak English that well. And to quote him, "But when you talk about an audience gravitating to the tube or to the ballpark to actually watch you, I don't think it helps that the number one face is a dude that needs an interpreter so you can understand what the hell he's saying in this country." Yeah, he got flamed for that on Twitter, as you can imagine, especially when there's a wave of Asian hate already in this country that people are advocating for. So as you can imagine, that Stephen A. Smith's comments didn't really help him. If that didn't convince you, let me show you another example of how much he tried to rely on his main shtick, being his personality, to win people over on certain debates. Back in the day, Kwame Brown was treated by Stephen A. Smith like how JaVale McGee was treated by Shaq whenever he did his Shaq the Fool segment, as a complete joke. People look back fondly on the meme of Stephen A. Smith calling Kwame Brown a certified scrub. However, after many years, Kwame Brown finally spoke up about the treatment he went through because of Stephen A. Smith and his antics.
Stephen A., you built a career off of me. A 17, 18-year-old kid, you think you walk around like you some big tough man. You was going to college campuses speaking about a teenage kid. And your only talent is knowing a bunch of big words and talking disrespectful to children, to teenagers. I was so happy when Kevin Durant mama, shout out to Kevin Durant mama, when she wanted to, it looked like she wanted to whoop your ass like my mama would have whooped your motherfucking ass. I had to tell my mom, you ain't going up there, because my mama wasn't going to be as nice as her. But Kevin Durant mama looked like she wanted to slap your ass with her purse. You talking about these people mama's son, boy. Fuck wrong with y'all. Y'all get on here and niggas work their whole life for some niggas with a bad tape line and a bad attitude and a bunch of talking can sit there and label people something. You punk motherfucker. You used to play basketball, Stephen A? My motherfucking career was better than yours.
Now the stage is set. Kwame Brown wants a man-to-man conversation to rectify all this foolishness that Stephen A. Smith has put him through and to basically be better in his endeavors. But what did Stephen A. Smith do in retaliation? The same exact thing Kwame was criticizing him for.
The only negative thing anybody ever said about Kwame Brown is that he couldn't play a lick of basketball. Before I go any further, join me in taking a look at this man.
Can you see the problem here now? Stephen A. Smith isn't the man of sports analysis. He is truly just a puppet at this point for ESPN and keeps doing things to keep his public persona of the funny black man on ESPN that he's had for years. Even with the Kwame Brown situation, I think the last thing people wanted was another blooper reel of a man who was long retired from the NBA, especially when he was coming from the heart about his concern of what you do to athletes year in and year out. But to get back into it, want to know what I think truly of Stephen A. Smith? Stephen A. Smith isn't a sports analyst. He again says the most safest things for ratings, and when he really wants to go out of the way, he'll say the most outrageous thing for ratings. It's all about ratings. Not because it's his true opinion, no. It's because he doesn't know how much about the sport that he's looking into, which is mainly basketball. Just think about it. Have you ever heard of Stephen A. Smith say anything analytical about the sport? He's just spouting stats, which isn't analytical. Literally anyone can go into Basketball Reference and spout out a random stat. He breezes through his whole career at ESPN just by being an entertainer and an entertainer only. You know that ESPN only thinks of you as a personality and not an analyst when you're doing whole boxing events that you can't even commentate the fight for. Him being on that boxing event was the equivalent of Addison Rae being on that one UFC event a while back. They were both only there for namesake, not what they can provide for the sport. Now I know Stephen A. Smith is for the casual viewers. Some people don't want straight sports talk, so they bring in good old Stephen A., who makes a funny reaction or two, talks about the sport for a bit, and calls it a day. Boom, $12 million a year. But when I went to college for this, I was always told you need a mix of standing out and knowledge of your subject. But Stephen A. Smith obviously showed me that you only need one of them to make a full career out of sports journalism. Also, let me just go on and get into this. The Max Kellerman situation was stupid as fuck. He was recently taken off of First Take after 5 years of working there. And let me just say this now, Max Kellerman is a better analyst than Stephen A. Smith will ever be for the reasons I said above. He at least has a little bit of a mix of knowledge and standing out that Stephen A. Smith doesn't. And yes, I know Max Kellerman has his bad takes, but we aren't going to act like people having a different opinion about something is new. It's how you back up your claims. But back to what I was saying, what I found hilarious about this whole situation is that Stephen A. Smith wanted Kellerman gone for this whole time for the sake of having a, quote, a better debating challenger, which he already had in Kellerman. And he also said that Kellerman had the smartest guy in the room type of attitude, which is absolute fucking ironic coming from him. And you know who he wants back with him on First Take? Skip Bayless, one of the worst, if not the worst sports personalities out there. Stephen A. Smith doesn't care about being an analyst if he wants the world-renowned LeBron hater and troll as a co-host for him. And then of course, to add on to that, whenever he does say anything he actually believes in secretly and ends up saying, it usually ends up getting him in trouble, which includes the Ray Rice situation, the Ohtani situation, telling Ayesha Curry to be a good NBA wife, quote unquote, which is the equivalent of when basketball players get told to shut up and dribble when they actually speak up about anything, and plenty of other things. So please tell me, why in the world do you like Stephen A. Smith as a sports personality? If it's because he makes you laugh, then he is an entertainer, not a sports analyst. Now, I'm not saying that you don't enjoy what Stephen A. Smith does on TV, not at all, but for me and other hardcore sports fans, we just don't mess with what Stephen A. Smith does as a sports personality, since he doesn't bring anything to it when it comes to actual sports conversation. And don't take it from me, let's see what some of my subscribers have to say about him.
I don't think of him as a sports analyst. He is all entertainment. He's like a WWE announcer, just there to be loud and entertaining.
He's mediocre. His over-the-top personality is the thing that allows him to have a prominent spot on ESPN.
As a sports analyst, Stephen A. Smith is definitely one of the more overrated analysts out there. Most people tune in to hear him be loud and obnoxious about certain takes he has. He is a great personality but a horrible sports analyst.
He says super obvious things and makes it seem like he's a genius by stretching it out and using big words, and he hardly admits to being wrong like Skip if he isn't yelling or controversial like his Nash comments. He offers no more knowledge to a sports convo than your regular guy.
As far as an analyst, I find his takes largely inaccurate and irritating. However, I'm not sold he's always 100% convinced of the shit he's saying. I feel like his part of the media industry feeds off of reactionary, eye-catching takes a lot more in the modern day. I give him props as far as his ability to maintain relevancy, but I think him, Nick Wright, Skip, etc. just manufacture arguments straight out their ass in order to put on a show. Plus they're competing with viewers like myself who prefer a more nuanced, educated discussion of basketball that people like yourself provide.
Now, with the opinions of others being shown, does that help you understand why sports fans don't really like Stephen A. Smith? For what he does for the network of ESPN, he is good. Some could say even great. He's a household name who brings in ratings due to his entertainment factor, but when it comes to actual sports conversations, don't expect much from him. But that's in my opinion. To end off this video, what is your opinion on Stephen A. Smith, the ESPN god himself? All comments will be appreciated as I read all of them and respond to a good bit of them. But with that being out of the way, let me go on and say I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned something new, as my vision for this channel is to inform and entertain. Again, like the video for more weekly sports content. Check out my social medias for the inside life of Alvini and other channel news. Check out my Twitch where I stream weekly and have to go through shit like this all the time. That shit. No, mama, no. And lastly, if you want to talk to your boy, there is always my Discord. Links in the description. With all that out of the way, this is your boy, Alvini Linguine, saying peace.